did you know that you wanted to start doing media and just making your magazine, and what was the motivation for the beginning and everything like that?
So my magazine, again, I didn't really start to see industry people except for when I kind of entered the industry, and then I saw more kids my age doing performances and singing and dancing and acting like that. But I never really saw anybody that was a media correspondent or doing interviews or anything of that sort. So I kind of just took it into consideration, and I thought about the other children out there who wanted to do something but didn't really have the role models right in front of them. So that's kind of what my magazine does. My magazine kind of gives those kids that don't have physical role models, but through the pages of a book or a magazine.
And so before that point in your life where you decided, I'm going to start, you know, this media and be a role model to others, was there ever a point in your life where you thought, maybe I should start like another business that's not even related to the magazine? Like, did that ever cross your mind?
After I did create the magazine, not necessarily, because I did dabble in everything before I got to being a media correspondent. I don't know if I said this in this interview, but I did gymnastics, cheerleading, I did acting, I did dancing, I did singing, I came out with a few songs. And when I kind of just hit to media corresponding, it kind of just stuck more than the others did. And so this is how I came to being a media correspondent.
Okay. And so how were you able to execute your plan? Like, what resources did you have to use, and how did you learn about your craft before executing it?
I pretty much already knew about the inner self that loved asking questions and getting different answers for the same question. So I pretty much knew about that, but using the resources that I had, I would use my mother. My mother would help me, and we would practice together, and we would watch shows. Oprah was somebody that we watched a lot when it came to hosting, and it was people like her and Ellen that really helped me make sure that I knew besides the inner self that I knew already.
Right, okay. And so how did the name and vision for Daytime Magazine, how did it come about? Like, you know, where did you get the motivation and inspiration to start that, and where did all that come from?
So Daytime Magazine, my name is Day. And when you just you just think about it and you just go time. And my mom loves to refer to me as being the sunshine or the bright light in the room. So that's kind of where Daytime came together. And we just decided to use my name for the magazine just because I don't think there was any specific meaning behind it, but it just kind of made sense.
Okay. I know that you said your mom helped you and she's a big part of the magazine. How did your friends and your family incorporate their support with the startup of your business? And, you know, how were they able to help you and just help you start everything and support you?
A few of my friends. Well, I feel like at the time, I did have a few friends that did hate on it, and then I also had a few other friends that were in the industry, either acting or dancing or singing or something, and they kind of backed me up and supported me on it. I do want to say that back then, I don't think I had as many friends that supported my craft, but now I'm really grateful to say that I do have a bunch of friends now who do support me on Instagram and through my craft. So, yeah, and my family also does support me in what I do, and they've always supported.
Okay. And I know that you said like you did have some friends that weren't supportive. How did you deal with that? And, you know, what did you do when you saw that they weren't really helping you towards becoming your better self?
I feel like when you come across those friends who don't always have their best intentions for you, you have to realize it, and you also have to fix the problem. I often hear that to fix the problem, you have to acknowledge it and then you can find the solution. So of course I had to acknowledge that they weren't truly my friends, or that they were jealous, or any of the above. And after that, I kind of took it into consideration, and I kind of distance myself. I'm the queen of distancing. If I feel that something is off between us, then I will distance myself until we meet again.
Okay. All right. I like that answer. And so, as an entrepreneur in media, because I know that it's hard, there are not a lot of people, especially younger people, that are in the field of media in the industry. What were some challenges and hardships that you faced, and how were you able to overcome them?
The challenge that I faced was the answer no, and the people that you wanted to support you didn't. Those were the biggest challenges. When you just believe so strongly in your craft or what you do, you kind of want everybody to do the same. You want everybody to follow it with you. Hey, Karis. You want everybody to follow through with you, and when they don't, it kind of like crushes your heart. So I feel like that was one of the biggest struggles. I feel like that was one of the biggest struggles.
Okay. And so, when you were first starting, since you said that one of the biggest struggles was getting no, how did you deal with rejection? And how did it make you feel? How did you deal with it? And how have you learned to not take it so personally?
I feel like pep talks with my mother after receiving no's kind of meant like try again. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of, the pep talks that she gave really helped a lot. I just feel like at the time I was just so young, and the word no in general just really hurt me. But now thinking back on it, the word no was just kind of just like another opportunity, and I kind of just stick with that. So now when I get no, it's like, okay, I'll give it some time and I'll try it again. So yeah.
And so, can you describe what the experience was like when you first published your first magazine, your first issue? What was the interview like, and how were you able to gather so many people? Like, can you just explain the process and the experience and all of that?
So I'm not sure how many followers I had on Instagram back then when I did start it. If I'm not mistaken, I started the first issue of DAI Magazine, I want to say 2017 or 18.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I can totally be messing this up. But I do think it was my 10th birthday, and we had both of the parties at the same day. It was a birthday party, and it was also the magazine release. I feel like it was a great experience finally releasing it and showing the public my magazine. But the actual process of getting children in the magazine was pretty simple. We used Instagram, and I feel like we put up a few posts, and we just got the word around so that we could have some people to submit some articles. We also got some ads in there, and the process of creating the magazine and the actual content that went in was pretty simple. This was one of my first times actually writing an article that was going to be published. I did write my article in the magazine, the article about myself, which was a really great experience. Yeah.
Okay. And so, speaking of the articles, do all of the magazines that you have published, are you the one that wrote all of them and transcribed all of them?
Majority of them. So when we feature new people in the magazine, I go in and I write the articles on the covers. I write the articles on the covers. I go and find photos, and then we send it over so that they can print it. So yeah, I do put in most of the articles, but we also get people from Instagram to put in articles about themselves, and we also get articles about different ads and activities that the kids can do at home.
Okay. And so once you got into doing the media and publishing magazines, I know that must have felt great, being able to promote youth that are talented. What made you decide that you wanted to go and cover red carpet events and, become a correspondent and host and speak?
I feel like I've always been curious and to ask the questions that other kids have. It was kind of like I was being a voice to the children, because I'm pretty sure that most children think alike, but there's also some questions that children don't get to ask their favorite celebrities. So I feel like me getting to ask the questions that I wanted and also getting to ask the questions that other kids wanted, I feel like it was just a great way to give back and just celebrate.
Okay. And what does it feel like when you're actually on the carpet? Like before a red carpet event, do you ever get nervous? How do you prepare? You know, how do you do that?
The red carpet process is definitely a struggle, especially being so young. Most of the people on the carpet, they're not old, but they're adults. And
Right, exactly.
The only child on the carpet, it's a little bit, it gets a little bit rough at times. Usually before the carpet, I'm slightly nervous, but not necessarily. But it's more so on the carpet and seeing who you're placed next to, because that gets it gets a little bit aggy, and people get really aggy about their interviews in space, and you just have to learn to like get over it and to be nice on the carpet.
Okay. Speaking of learning how to get over and being nice, were you trained how to cover red carpet events, or you just kind of learned as you went along?
I did learn as I got along. Once we actually went to a few events, we were able to meet some of those friendly adults on the carpet, and that is how I found a few of the people who've mentored me into being a host. Definitely beforehand, though, I did just kind of do what I saw. I would just look at the comments, and I mean, not look at the comments. I would look at the other host next to me, and I would kind of just like spectate them. I would see what they were doing and to see how they asked questions and what type of questions they were asking. And that kind of allowed me to see, so, oh, they're asking about that, let me ask about this. And just things like that. And I'm a child anyway, I'm a teenager, so it wasn't like I was going to ask the same questions as they were, but just to get an idea of what questions they were asking so I wouldn't ask the questions. Yeah, that was just the way that I kind of learned. And also practicing at home was also very effective for learning how to maneuver the carpet, and studying your craft was a very good tip for being a red carpet host, like going home and watching YouTube and watching Oprah and watching Ellen. Things like that really helped me figure it out, the carpet.